Hi, my friends. This is Rick, the Grease Man, and like I said in the previous couple of these videos, if you've had any kind of career in the convenience store industry, you all have seen a few things. You have witnessed some drama and excitement, or utter boredom, or one of those FTW moments. What the fuck was that kind of thing? And as always, the Grease Man. He spent a number of years, as I said before, and I worked for 7-Eleven for a better part of just short of 2 years. And I worked for Peaster Derby and Coastal and Sinclair. So I have my stretch there. And once again, we're going to have yet another story, right? So I was working one evening, and it was probably a Friday or Saturday because we had an off-duty officer in the back, as always on the weekends, and I had another clerk working with me. And it was getting late on toward late evening, early mid-evening, say 9, 10 o'clock. And these three young ladies come strolling into the store. One of them's in a wheelchair. And I'd never seen or remember seeing any of them prior to this. They were all three fairly attractive young ladies. Of course, I was a young man at the time and would notice those sort of things far more than I would now. Being old and married for 1,000 years and et cetera, et cetera. So the store's busy, so there's probably 15 people in the convenience store, and that's quite a lot of people for a convenience store. Back then, some of these stores today are much bigger than they used to be. That store, particular location, wasn't overly great in size anyway. So they wandered their way back, and I was dealing with customers and other issues. But as habit, I kept an eye out for the odd thing or two. That's usually what draws my attention, was somebody acting out of the ordinary, something off. And three ladies, one in a wheelchair, is not necessarily off. I mean, I have no issues with the handy able, and in this particular case, you'll discover that just how capable and how normal somebody who's disabled can be if they want to be, in this situation. So they meandered their way back towards the beer and liquor cabinets, and about 20 minutes later, started to make their way out of the store without stopping at cash register, making a purchase, or anything of that nature. So they'd been in the store for 20 minutes, and now they were leaving the store with nothing in their hands. It was just as they started to roll out the door when I realized there was something off, something odd, something more than off than the usual. People come and go and don't necessarily make purchases. Now, I've said before, this particular location only had one bathroom. It was located in the back of the store, and I mean in the back room of the store. And we did not have it open to the public because we got tired of picking up syringes and other contrivances and other things that some of these fine, upstanding citizens would leave behind in our bathroom. And so sad. So, quite curious about this new development. I rap on the one-way glass window, or two-way glass, I guess. Never quite sure exactly how to look at that. I mean, it's it's a mirror on my side, and the fellow behind can see through. This gets the attention of the off-duty officer, who had one or two young men from the Drake University up the street in the back room, waiting for another officer to come pick them up for shoplifting. Apparently, they'd helped themselves to some deli sandwiches, even though they had a pocket full of money. They literally had a wad of money, one fella did, and he was arguing with the officer about that fact. So anyway, they come out front. Now, let's be honest, I could be wrong on the if those fellows were at this event or a different event, because hey, I get older and I know things happen, but sometimes the order that they happen in gets jumbled. Anyway, so the officer steps out and says, "What?" And I kind of pointed my finger in the general direction of the door where the ladies were just exiting the store, and I says, "I might be wrong, but when that young lady in the chair came in, she had no legs. She has legs now." Now, just to be clear, she had her pant legs rolled up and folded up under her legs, so she had no legs beneath the knee. And when she was leaving, she had her pant legs fully extended, and appeared to be filled out. And so the officer went out, detained them, and retrieved better part of a dozen bottles of alcohol from said pant legs. So, what do you make of that? What do you think of that? I mean, I applaud their effort and their ingenuity, although it would have been more convincing to us, or me in particular, if they had come to the counter and made some sort of minor purchase, just so I wouldn't have been just my attention wouldn't have been on them as much as they were leaving. Perhaps they would have left those pant legs unrolled and deployed in such a manner that you would not question it at all. The fact she came in with missing her legs and was leaving with pant legs made me quite curious as to this. And at the time, now Iowa's changed its alcohol and liquor laws in the last decade. So in current time, you can go into most convenience stores in Iowa and purchase hard liquors. You can get Jack Daniels and Captain Morgan and other vodkas and so on and so forth at the convenience stores. Everything from those little one-shot bottles that you think of airplanes up to the full-size bottle. And at the time, mid to late 80s, the laws were a little less accommodating. You mostly were wines and hard wines, and if you're familiar with things like Mad Dog, Mogen Dagovit 2020, we call it Mad Dog for a reason. It's pretty harsh, and it's harder than your normal wine. And there were others such as Wild Rose and Thunderbird and two or three others that come to mind, and those were the most commonly sold items with above the beer average of alcohol content. So this young lady had about a dozen or more of these bottles shoved up her pant legs. So, like I said, what do you think of that? Isn't that an interesting and odd thing to have happened at the 7-Eleven near you, at least in my case? Till next time, this is Rick.